Good evening, LEC community. My name is Edgar Palacios. I am the founder and CEO of the Latinx Education Collaborative. I believe this is our first live stream of the year. It seems like a long time ago we were doing this on a regular basis, and so tonight kicks off another round of us trying to communicate and to connect with you virtually. I'm excited today because today is really about celebrating our 2020 Latinx Educator Award winners. And so I'm so thrilled that they're here with us tonight. All 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of them, I believe. Is that the right number? But enough about me. Welcome tonight. Enjoy. Ask questions. Send love to them. But I'm going to go ahead and get started with introductions. So Yvonne, why don't you tell us a little bit about who you are, the award that you won, and what you do?
My name's Yvonne Medrano, and I won the Educator of the Year Award from LEC, so super excited and honored about that. Originally from Los Angeles, California, moved here to Kansas City area about 10 years ago, and about doing the work of equity and inclusion and advocacy for not only our community, but all students and students of color. So really excited to be a part of this group. Honored to be in the company with all of you, and thanks for this great opportunity tonight.
Thanks, Yvonne. Yvonne's been a committed member of the LEC since day one, I would say. So excited to have you here and excited for your recognition. Randy, how are you doing tonight?
Hey, good evening, everybody. Thanks for the invitation. And Edgar, thank you for all the continued work that you do. And congratulations to all of our award winners. That's awesome to be on this panel with you. And happy Inauguration Day, right? What another historic, beautiful moment that we had today. So my name is Randy Lopez. I work for the Wyandotte Health Foundation. I'm vice president there. And I also serve as the president of the Board of Education for Kansas City, Kansas Public Schools. And this year I was surprised with the Chairs Award from the Latinx Collaborative. So I'm super excited for that. And thank you for having me.
Thanks, Randy. You also happen to have the distinction of the first elected Latino school board member in KCK. So that's a huge thing to celebrate. And you're doing phenomenal work as the board president, if I'm not mistaken, right? So thanks for being here tonight, and congrats again. Dayanati, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hello, so my name is Dayanari Castellara. I attend Sumner Academy. I'm a senior at the moment. And so I plan to double major in secondary education and social work. I was born and raised in Kansas City, and so I plan to come back and continue teaching here as well.
That's awesome.
Dayanati, you are what this organization is about. We want to continue to inspire our youth and our young folks to come into the field and to make sure that our students are represented. So excited for you, and I can't wait to see you become that educator here in maybe 4 or 5 years. I'll give you 6 just in case you need to take a gap year or anything like that. But thanks for being for us, and congratulations. Excited to have you as part of our family. Angie, how are you doing this evening?
I'm doing good. Again, happy Inauguration Day. It was so beautiful to see. My name's Angelique Rodriguez-Gunyon. I am honored to be amongst all of you for the Volunteer of the Year Award. Very surprising, but I am a mother of 7 and always at a school. So or at an activity for the kids. So I'm just humbled and honored to really be here. I grew up in KCK, went to Harmon. I'm in the Shawnee Mission School District trying to be a face for some of our kids here. And just thank you very much.
Angie, I remember Gabe talking about your commitment to the school district and to your students, and just having the conversation with you. And you do more combined than anyone else I know for our students. And so just grateful for you and your work and your energy around this space, and excited for you to be a part of our community as well. Brooke, how are you doing this evening?
Doing well. It's great to be here with everybody, and We're very honored. My name is Brooke VanHecke, and I represent the Learning Club, which we are the community partner, so it is not just me. So you all get your accolades because you all are fantastic. And our organization, we have been working with LEC for a few years, and we actually have two of our current, well, one current and then one former intern here. And so, but we are a teaching internship with the Learning Club, and so we've worked collaboratively to inspire the youth of the Kansas City, Kansas public school system to go into education and to want to continue to work in the community. And so this is my first year with the organization, and I've just been blown away by the support of the district as well as organizations such as LEC. So very honored to be here, and we just appreciate everything that you all do. So.
Thanks, Brooke. And we really appreciate our partnership with the Learning Club. Part of our work is pathway exposure, making sure that students know that we need educators, we want them to be educators, and we want them to consider education as a viable career option. And so you have made it incredibly easy for us to do that and to partner. And so looking forward to continuing the work for many years to come. Melissa, how are you doing?
Hey, everybody. Doing great. Today was an exciting day with it being Inauguration Day. So it was a good way to start the day for sure. I am Melissa Fanaro, and I'm just thankful to be here and humbled that I was nominated for Administrator of the Year. And I'm learning a lot about the organization and looking forward to a part of it. So looking forward to more events and getting engaged. So thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here, Melissa. And actually, you also represent early childhood education, which is a big deal for us. So to have representation at that early stage is so important. So thank you for the work that you do, and looking forward to continue to be in community with you. And then Angel, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you guys? Good. I'm hearing you. But yeah, I'm good. I'm doing good, having fun. I'm really happy to be here.
Fantastic. And Angel, you are our future educator of the year. Tell us, where are you going to school right now? What are you planning to teach?
So I'm a freshman at KU, and I'm double majoring in French and secondary education. What was the second question? What I'm planning to teach.
Yeah.
So I really want to teach French, and I also want to teach Spanish at the high school level, hopefully, but I'm really open to teaching whichever grade level.
That's so awesome. And you are on the pathway. I can't wait to talk to you about scholarships through the HDF and a couple other places. And so we're here to support you along your journey. Can't wait to see you graduate too. I'm excited for that moment. But anyways, community, these are our 2020 award winners. And it's such an awesome sight to see all of you on screen and to just be in community with each and every one of you. I'm going to slow down just a little bit because I get excited. But you all have mentioned the inauguration, and something that was really striking to me today was seeing Justice Sotomayor with Kamala Harris, Vice President Kamala Harris, and then seeing Jennifer Lopez sing. And so it was probably the first time in, I guess, my life.
A little bit of Spanish in there too.
She really she flexed a little bit hard, before she went to America. So representation is really part of our organizational culture, and it's absolutely what we believe in. This is going to be a popcorn style question, so anybody can answer this and can respond. But seeing that was important to me. But why is representation important to you? I know you answered this question a couple of times, but definitely want to hear from you again.
I think it's important for our young people, for our community, to see people that look like them in doing great things and making a difference. And it's empowering, it's encouraging. And so I think it's great to have all folks at the table having a say in things that matter.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, everything you said, spot on. Edgar, you and I talked about this a little bit, but just, the research shows that when students see themselves, as teachers, or see somebody who's a lawyer or a doctor or a pharmacist or a mechanic or whatever the case may be that looks like them or that has a similar story to them, they can identify with that person, and it's more likely that that they might go into that field. And so it gives some hope and sheds some light into that. And so to your point about seeing, Justice Sotomayor, to see Vice President Harris up there, representation, seeing somebody that has a story like yours or a shared story experience like yours, just goes a long way in inspiring and giving and showing that love that we need. And it's something that all of us should that all of us represent, right? And so being the first Latino to be elected onto the school board, for me, it was important to show that, hey, we belong. We belong at every table. And if it was an opportunity for me to be able to show that I do belong, and that I should run, and anyone should run if they want to, and that they are a part of that. So it's just about representation. It's about inspiring and hope and spreading that love.
I appreciate those sentiments, Randy. And I think, I always talk about love, and from this perspective, right? I absolutely believe that we need to love on our educators and show them as much appreciation as possible, because I think we all know from where we sit that education can be a difficult career. It's definitely challenging, and there's definitely a lot that goes into it. There's a lot of heart that goes into it. So I appreciate you kind of elevating that and bringing that into the space. I'm curious, Dayanari, how does this representation make you feel? Like if you caught any of your inauguration today, like what was it like for you?
So I was able to watch it today, and so it was really heartwarming just because of the fact that we were able to see our vice president is now a woman. And I feel like many little girls' dreams have been finally saying, like, I see a vice president that's a woman. I'm being able to see, like, maybe my dreams will come true. Just because sometimes we do have that thought that I don't see anybody like me doing such and such. And it's really heartbreaking because they're just like, well, I can't do it then. They feel discouraged. So I feel representation is a really good thing to have anywhere. We need to have that so that people think that they're welcomed here, because they should be welcomed. And so I try and show representation everywhere I go. Being in the Shawnee Mission School District, it was kind of hard, but I was able to show that I'm here, I have a spot. And so yeah, representation should be shown throughout all borders.
Yeah, I think that something you said really just sticks with me, which is like little girls everywhere see what's possible. And you're also leading that way too, right? And so I think that is such a beautiful continuation of this work. Angel, I'm gonna kick it to you. What are your thoughts?
Much like Dainari, I was really proud to see like that the vice president is a woman of color. And I remember I was watching and I just remember thinking, like, things might start changing now for the better, because I mean, after the 4 years that we've had, they weren't really the best. So just seeing that there are people or someone of color in charge, it just made me really happy and made me really proud.
I agree. There was a moment of pride that I experienced earlier today, just seeing that. And regardless, I think, of party or affiliation, just seeing people of color so well represented in that space was something that was very powerful to me. Melissa, I'm curious as to what your thoughts are today.
Yeah, I agree with everybody. It just gives affirmation, probably to somebody at home watching with their parents. They need, children need to see that as normal, right? Instead of like just one-offs. And so on the political side, I look forward to a really diverse cabinet that's being put together, just because I think, again, children need to see their teachers. They need to see people in high places and high power that they can look up to and find some role models or some guides throughout their mentors that they can admire. And I believe with Ms. Harris that's definitely a starting point. And it's hopeful. It's a hopeful feeling today, looking forward. So yeah.
I love that. Hope is definitely, it's definitely part of the work. And so I think it was fun to see a little bit of hope today. Angie, and then I'm going to kick it to Brooke because I'm going to shift the question for Brooke a little bit. But Angie, tell me how you felt today. Tell me about representation in general for you.
Today was really special. I'm probably have a few years over everybody on the panel. So I remember as a young kid seeing when Ronald Reagan got inaugurated. I remember seeing that, and it was really interesting because I was even having my kids, they were in their classes, and I said, I've never seen so many Latinos or Latinas around there. It was just, even when they were talking and gathering, and at the end, and I was telling my kids, I'm like, I don't care what people say on whatever side you're on. This is the most I've ever seen around the White House. You know what I mean? And it wasn't for, look, we're going to bring in during Hispanic Heritage Month. These are people that are really tied to the White House. You know what I mean? They know. I was telling, Biden already has like 4 or 5 people on his cabinet. I go, that's profound. As a young girl and someone who goes to DC every year, it's kind of like, okay, there's going to be a lot more representation. Part of me, when I moved to Shawnee Mission School District, everybody's like, why didn't you move to like Olathe or Blue Valley or, Paola? And I'm like, me and my husband moving from Argentine to Shawnee Mission, I go, it has to be diverse. Like, I told him, I was like, as much as you want these schools, I go, I don't want my kids to be the only brown people out of 15. I don't want to be the only Hispanic mom. My kids need to know what diversity is look like, whether people think it's good or bad. My kids are going to know how to get along with everybody because that's what the world is. And I think that's a reality, because I even told them, I was like, it's just really hard as a parent to raise your thinking what you're doing is right or wrong, but you can't be wrong if you're having your kids know what the real world looks like. And that's where we kind of were like, okay, this is what we're going to do.
I so appreciate that. I'm gonna tag this moment at 6:22 p.m. when you said that, because I think that's a powerful statement, right? You can't be wrong showing, exposing kids to what the world is, and the world is incredibly diverse, right? And so that's a true statement. Brooke, as part of the Learning Club, you serve an incredibly diverse population of students. So tell me about how representation plays within the Learning Club, and how you actively work to create that environment for the students you serve.
Yeah, so we're talking about representation today, but I think, I can't remember who said it just off the top of my head, but just the idea that it becomes normal. Like, this is a big day for our country, but those days where the representation is normalized through people being represented on a daily basis and everywhere we see. And so for the Learning Club, that is one of our missions, is to provide a space for our students especially our students of color, who are interested in going into teaching and wanting to get back to their communities and go back into their communities and teach those students. And so we work to engage our students in a number of ways. For instance, last semester, even though we weren't able to have our interns work closely with our younger students like we typically would in a one-to-one tutoring session, we still, we tried to have our interns create like multicultural documents for our students and activities for them to do that celebrated who they were. And so Diana, she created some things for little ones that we were able to give that celebrated who she was or her culture, or even things that she knew. And so this semester, we're having our interns create a capstone project that is something that they're passionate about, that is giving back to their community in some way, shape, or form. We just really want to provide opportunities for our interns to not only grow professionally, but also to understand the importance of being a part of your community and being active members of the community. So Learning Club, we've had to go through a lot of transitions this year, as many people have, but that's been an important goal of our organization, is to continuously try and meet the needs of our K through 12 students, especially our internship program, just by providing those opportunities and support as best we can, while also acknowledging that our interns and our kids that we serve have an incredibly rich and diverse they have incredibly rich things to give to us as well, and to their community. So we just want to celebrate that and provide a space for that.
And you all do a phenomenal job of that. I know my first experience with Learning Club, I was like super impressed. just by the work that you were all doing, the communities that you were in and involved and passionate about as well. And so it's been awesome to see that. It's been awesome to kind of explore partnerships and how to talk about representation as well. And I always love to. I know we had a conversation one day with Jessica Garcia, who's an educator out of Kansas City Girls Prep. And so she came in and she spoke, and I just remember the students' faces lighten up and just being interested in becoming teachers. And so that's part of the work.
I think we had like 8 kids say that they had not thought about teaching before, but after sitting in on the panel, they were like, I could see myself like maybe exploring that option. So it just, LEC and Learning Club just has such a combined effort where I think our organizations really pair well as a collaborative partnership. But I know for schools as well as interns that it's been really beneficial. So we look forward to continuing that partnership.
I'm going to pivot this question to the adults in the room. So, and Dianati, Angel, you're adults. I'm saying for the folks who are in already in the classroom or have been in the classroom, retention is such a critical issue for our community. So we know from data that Latinos come into the classroom at the highest rates of any other community, but they also exit at the highest rates. And particularly if you're a first or second year teacher, if you have a bad experience in a building, instead of going to a different building or a different district, you tend to exit the field altogether, right? And so for us, retention and talking about how to love and support our educators is important. Tell me what has kept you in the work, but also tell us what kind of supports you need to continue to keep you in this work.
I think connecting with others that have the same passions as you do, so that allyship that you have to be able to connect and support each other, to celebrate, to listen to each other, and be there through the ups and the downs. And so that sponsorship is really important. I think representation, going back to that as well, seeing others in roles that you aspire to be in, and just for that support. So that's what's kept me in education. Besides, my love for students and love for learning. It's the folks that I choose to surround myself with, and really have that circle of trust, those circle of people that I can lean on when things get hard, like 2020, it was hard. So I think I've really counted on the people that I surround myself with, and then everything else is just noise. You got to let it go. But I think that's what's kept me in and what will keep me in education.
Melissa, I'm looking at you. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I was going to say I wholeheartedly agree with all of that. Early on, so I feel like my heart is still an educator, like in the classroom, even though I'm an administrator at this point. Early on in my teaching days, I had a group of women that I worked with in Los Angeles that taught me a lot about the importance of sticking with it. Early years have an extremely high turnover rate in the center, birth through pre-K age. And so those young women, we were young at the time, we really just kind of huddled together and made sure to support one another, like you were saying, and made sure that we could count on one another, because it would be easy to walk away at some points. And so my were really kind of formed by that group of women. And so I'm fortunate to have had those ladies around me. And so I also am fortunate to have parents who are both educators. So that's definitely like the personal mentorship that I've been lucky to have in my life. So those are good motivators. And now being a parent too, it's I know that I'm in the right place for sure. And so that also keeps me going further. So.
Thank you, Melissa. Randy, for you, you're in a political position, in a policy-making position. What are your strategies or how you think about retention for educators as well?
Yeah, listen, you probably saw me looking down a lot. It's because I'm taking notes as a board member. I want to know, hey, how do I keep my staff at the district and not leaving the education field? So I'm excited to hear, what was already said and what else is going to be said. But I think, y'all are spot on in terms of what you said. So I've never been a teacher. I haven't taught in a classroom or an administrator, but I believe in education, and education is a passion of mine. But when you think about retention, some of the things that I've heard both tonight and from others, relationships are so huge. And, I think you touched on building relationships within your school building and within the district. I think that way you can identify with somebody or have somebody or people to lean on when things get a little tough, because it can be lonely from what I understand and from what I see. And in my experience, being an educator can also be lonely. So having relationships with folks that keep you motivated, is a big help. Also being valued. So one thing that I know our school board tries to do is make sure that our educators, our teachers, our custodial workers, cafeteria workers, that they feel like they are valued, valued employees, valued members of our family, right, of our district family. So I think that goes a long way as well. It's also about good people, surrounding yourself and in your district with good leadership, good people who can bring some of that to our staff. But then, on making sure that we're investing in you, our educators, our teachers, our paras, our aides, again, at all levels, that we're providing those opportunities for both personal and professional growth. That I've seen is a way to make sure that people feel valued and want to stay where they're at. And what I mean by stay in the district, stay in the field, but continue to grow in their career. And then another one, and I know this one's always a tough topic to discuss, but compensation. I mean, educators are not compensated the way they should be, right? And we need to change that. And maybe we could start doing things a little differently in terms of how we support and compensate our educators in ways that means, that professional development opportunities, other ways to compensate folks so that, so that they stay in the field as well. So, but I'm taking notes. I want to know what else do I have to do to make sure that you stay in the career, stay in the field, and that we keep you in our district.
I think we've actually, what's really interesting about what that question is, like, I think, Randy, you also model a way of being accessible, right? And I think in terms of advocacy and agency from educators, we also, we have to learn how to talk to people in leadership positions as well, to say, like, these are our needs, and you also make it easy for us because you're incredibly inviting, right? Not everybody has that luxury as well. But so I think we're also learning from you to see, like, what is possible in those conversations. Angie, I'm curious. So when we spoke, when you talked to me about everything that you do, and I say that with an emphasis, like everything that you do, I know your motivation behind that, but I guess, will you share with our folks why volunteer at school? Why volunteer, at the district level? Why get involved from that perspective?
Well, I would say it did start, in a selfish way. In the PTA, when my son, my oldest son Thomas, was in kindergarten going to Emerson, in Argentina, and I was like, oh, I'll be in the PTA, I'll go and I'll, try to be, because you want to protect your mijo and what's going on and who's there and all of these things. And I remember the first meeting I went to, Sally Murguia, they're like, oh, the PTA meeting's like during the morning at, and I'm thinking, well, luckily, I was a stay-at-home mom a little bit. We were just getting ready to start our company. And I'm like, okay, well, I was like, okay, that's kind of hard for parents, mainly the people that I knew that were blue collar workers. And, they're working at 9:30, you know what I mean? And so I went there, and they're like, it's in the lounge, in the teacher's lounge. I'm like, okay, which I thought was kind of weird. And I'm sitting there, and Sally walks in, And I will never forget, she looked so surprised and she's like, oh, somebody's here. And I'm like, for the PTA meeting? And she probably doesn't even remember me. And I'm like, she's like, yeah, we never have anybody really here. It's always just me. And I was so shocked. Like, oh my goodness. You know what I mean? And over the years, I'm not gonna lie, I mean, I get tired. You know what I mean? You know, going to everything, having a business and the 7 kids. But even now, my kids know, because even my kids are like, hey mom, can so and so come over? I have a few mentees that I know if it wasn't for me, that they might not have the snack or the water, or in the summertime calling the counselors that I do know, like, hey, there's a situation going on, I need to know if you can help me, because I know there's regulations as an administrator or as a teacher that you have to notify, but this kid is scared that, you know, as a Hispanic, like, I know what it is. Like, your parents like, why are you telling our business, or what's going on, or, you know, they're getting in trouble and embarrassed, or the documentation status. I'm like, hey, this is what's going on. How can we help? What can we do? And every time I'm in a position like that, I talk to my kids, because they're like, we're good. We have a mom and dad. And some of them don't have it, or like one of my son's parents, they both work fast food. So he's like, hey mom, can he come over and just hang out until the parents get off work? Or can he? I'm like, yeah, I mean, I'll just tell all of my kids. Because to me, I did it selfishly for my one kid, but like, you know, I'm in Shawnee Mission School District. So to me, at Comanche, you know, before even COVID, I'm like, all 483 kids are mine. At West, all 1,572 kids are mine. Those are still my kids. Whether you're a pain in the butt or not, you know, even some teachers will be like, hey, do you know so-and-so? Can you kind of reach out or talk to them, or what's going on? And I'm like, hey, even on Snap, they put me on groups like, hey, where's your grades? What are you doing? You know, today we're at the wrestling meet. They're like, you know, they're even protecting me against my own kid who's like trying to ridicule me and tease me in a way. But they're like, hey, you don't talk like that to your mom. You know, those are my kids. And because that one kid, you know, that's like, thank you because you saved my life, or you helped me get into college. I've had kids come up to me and say, hey, can you help this kid? Because their parents kicked them out. They reached 18. They have nowhere to go. Hey, that's why. You know, and it's hard and it's tiring, but if I'm that one face, let me be that face for that kid for that time. And they're going to remember that for themselves.
Yeah.
Because I know the alternative, because I've been there. I've been out on my own, you know? And so no matter where they are, I'm like, you keep fighting. You keep fighting. Do not give up. You know, and pay it forward. That's all. Just pay it forward. If it's for seeing another kid, pay it forward.
Yeah.
And that's all you can do. And that's why for me, and I get emotional because I know at least 10 kids whose parents, good or bad, some of them, you know, I'm like, gosh, what's wrong? Like me, I'm like, I come out thinking, my husband's like, calm down, you know, don't get in trouble. But I'm just like, what's wrong with you? You know, this is your kid. But those same kids, you know, in the summertime, my door, if you ever see my truck, you know, you're like, gosh, you know, you have Sam's Club in there. You know, I always have water and snacks or whatever, because my kids know, my football kids know, my wrestling kids know, my track kids know, and just kids in my neighborhood know I have that water for them in the summertime. You know, their parents, you know, back in our day, you know, it's just different. You don't come home until the sun goes down, where I have kids like, hey, my mom told me I can't come home, but I don't have any water. So I have my kids, there's kids always at my house.
Yeah.
Knocking, you know, and that's why, you know, even if I want to relax, I'm like, okay, well, yeah, come on in, you know, so take some food with you, and, you know, don't let your brother eat it, or, you know, and it's hard to see. It's really hard to see a lot of times when there's situations where, you know, you have to get authorities involved. You know, the kids are scared, you know, they're hungry. You know, my kids are even like, they don't get embarrassed, but they're kind of like, what do we do when, you know, a kid's like, hey, we haven't had water in 2 weeks. Can I take a shower? And they're like, come home, and their friends are there taking showers and like eating, you know what I mean? And they're like, oh, they didn't even tell me. And I'm like, they're kind of getting used to it. They're like, oh, hey, you know, But now they're trying to invite like 10 kids to come eat, and I'm like, calm down.
Angie, and I appreciate your vulnerability, and I wish that there was a way to clone you and clone more of you, so more students could kind of get that passion and enjoyment and love as well. But I also encourage your colleagues and parents that are in your district to join you in your forces and to join you in this work, because while I do believe that you can do it all by yourself, it gets a little bit easier if we all pitch in. So just encouragement, and we can talk a little bit about that later. We can maybe shame some people into getting involved too. So I'm going to pivot here because I want the voices of our aspiring and our future educator to kind of tell us a couple of things. First, I want to know, why do you want to become an educator? And then two, what is it that we can do to support you in your journey as an educator? And Angel, we can start with you.
So for me, to answer the first question, there seems to be a general theme of representation going on. And that's also my reason for wanting to be a teacher too, because growing up, I never had people look like me or speak the same language as I did, or just do the things that I did. And now as an adult, thinking back on it, I just think, wow, like I was really just me, like by myself. There was no one like me. So now, like, I want to give back to to my community, because there's a very large Latinx population in Kansas City, and sometimes I just think of my own parents. I don't know. They came here undocumented and they gave me the world, and that's what everyone else is trying to do for their kids. So when I think of the experiences that those kids are going through, having to be a translator for their parents, having to basically be the adult because their parents don't speak English, like that's what drives me to be a teacher, And like I remember going to parent teacher conferences. None of the teachers would know Spanish, so like my mom was just there and she didn't understand anything, and that breaks my heart. So I feel like me becoming a Spanish and French teacher, like I speak Spanish as my first language, I'm definitely going to be able to communicate with those parents, and it's a small change, but it's a change that I think warms my heart. And then what was the second question? I forgot.
Yeah, the second question is, first and foremost, thank you for sharing, and thank you for sharing your story. But the second question is, like, how can we as a community support you as you continue this journey?
How the community can support us is by doing stuff like this. I had no idea that the awards were a thing, and just bringing attention to that. I knew about the Latinx organization. I just didn't know that we did awards. And I feel like I'm super happy to be recognized, because I mean, it feels like people are rooting me on and that people have my back, And so I think that's the perfect thing to do, honestly.
That makes me happy because if we can do anything, at the very least, is root on our educators and our community, right? To persist in this work. So I appreciate that, and I also love how you said "we" when you talk about the organization. That warms my heart. So thank you for that, Dayanati. How about you? Why are you becoming an educator? And then what can we do to support you?
So I plan to be an educator just because growing up, like Angel had mentioned, I didn't see anybody like me. Every school I went to, nobody would actually try and say my name. They would just try and skip to the last one. And I understand my name's complicated, but I feel like your name is your identity and your name should be respected. It shouldn't just be skipped over. And so sometimes it really does take effect of not being associated with your name, something as simple as that. As well as right now, growing up, I have a 5-year-old sister. She's just starting kindergarten. And so my mom right now helps her with her homework. And she always is mentioning how it's so much easier right now. And when I was in kindergarten, we didn't know how to do the homework. We hope it's right. So yeah, just being able to show that I'm first generation, I'm Hispanic. I didn't come from the best neighborhood, and yet I'm still able to go and follow my dreams. I feel like that could really hopefully inspire somebody that also has big dreams and make them want to continue their dreams as well. And so to answer the second question about what could be helped, it's really just like Miss Angie's been doing, taking a chance on somebody. So I was taken a chance on by Saturday Academy, a program that does incredible work for the community as well as Learning Club. They just saw a small girl and they were like, okay, we'll give her a chance. And so sometimes that's all you really need. You just need somebody to believe in you, because one person can believe in you, but like 5 other ones could be doubting on you, saying like, oh, I was told you can't graduate from Sumner, like that's not for you. But yet here I am almost graduating. And so I'm very thankful for everybody that gave me a chance. Thank you. And so yeah, just like, it might be the smallest thing, like just knowing that they're there, giving them a snack, giving them water. Just please take a chance on the Wyandotte community.
Thank you, Dianati. And I think you're absolutely right. Part of the work that we do and we aspire to do is make sure that people are recognized for who they are, right? And being Latino, Latinx, Hispanic, however you identify, that's an asset and not it's not anything negative or anything that we need to hide or be ashamed of, right? It's what makes us a community, and it's what brings us together. And so thank you for sharing your story about your name. And I yell at my parents sometimes because I wish my name was as cool as yours. Because Edgar, come on, what's up with that? Anyways, I'm gonna pivot to Brooke because I feel like Brooke, like you actually, I think it was the Learning Club who nominated both Dianati and Angel. Is that correct?
Yeah, my cheeks hurt. I feel like I have like a perma smile. Like when both of them are talking, I'm just like sitting here like this feels like when I'm, taking pictures and my cheeks hurt. I can't stop. But so my background, I started with the Learning Club this last school, like this previous June. And so I didn't have the opportunity to get to know Angel very well. But just from, and I've been working with Dianati for, the last semester into this one too. And so from my perspective, I just feel like the representation or the acknowledgement, like you said, Dianati, like the ability to say you matter and you are doing something and people are able to see you in that setting just inspires so many people that we don't necessarily know. Angel, when you were like, even if I can, be there to speak the same language, it might be something little, but my first thought was like, that's nothing little, like that's something really big to somebody. And so the ability to do those little steps become big things for our community and for our student population. And so, it's an incredible experience to be able to be surrounded by students who are wanting to come back into the communities to teach because, the previous conversation about retention and all of the different advice of having the support and having the recognition, but also providing a space for people who love what they do to talk about why they love what they do and why it's a profession that not only, you can help others, but you also have, the ability to fulfill yourself as well. So I just think having these positive experiences to celebrate educators and celebrate the education community is so powerful because there's so many diverse stories. I mean, it's a system we all go through. I mean, what other system do we all have some sort of linear experience where we go K through 12? And so whether that be public or private or different areas of the community. So to be able to celebrate that, we're just so honored that we had 2 representatives from our organization, but by no means are we the ones that have created them. They have created themselves, and we're just happy that we are able to kind of, piggyback off of their success and say, hey, we were a tiny, tiny part of that, but just very, very proud.
No, and I think it's important, right? Because I think people forget that there's so many things that have to go into producing an educator, right? Like there's so many touch points. Somebody has to love on you. Somebody has to model the way for you, right? Somebody has to put that bug in your ear. And so that's something I love about the Learning Club. Like you make education accessible and fun, and you give the opportunity for folks to experience that at a young age. So just again, grateful for the work that you do, and clearly it's working. because we have some powerful educators, aspiring and future educators on the way. We are coming to close to closing the conversation. So before I ask you your final words of wisdom, I think throughout the year, I'm going to be inviting you back individually. You can continue the conversation and get more specific. But tonight really is about celebrating you and what you've accomplished. I'm loving seeing all the comments and people just sending you and sharing love with you all. That always makes me happy. But just want to quickly say, I'm really excited about this. You all will be receiving this award. It is incredibly heavy. I don't know if you see that the LEC logo is on it, so I'm proud of that one too. But it's an X and it's an apple because, educators. And so if you work at a district or you belong to a district, know that my goal is to sneak into a board meeting and present this to you at a board meeting because we need to celebrate you in that way. If you don't, let's figure out a way to do this together and celebrate you in a way that's meaningful to you as well. But just know that is on its way in the next couple of weeks, plus another couple other surprises. And so as we wrap up, I'm actually going to go in order of the way that we listed the awards. So final thoughts or a powerful thought or statement that you want to share or something that you weren't able to share that you want to make sure to get out. So I'm actually going to start with Dayanari.
Okay, so my final thoughts, not just to students, but to everybody out there, please give somebody a chance. That's all they need. Just give somebody a chance to show you guys what they have, what they're able to offer you. That can be students, that can be teachers, as well as, this one's for the students, always be open-minded and go find those chances, because sometimes they just don't land on your lap. You just have to go out and you have to apply to this, apply to that, and make connections, because later on, I know the Learning Club, they actually sat down with me and they showed me the whole process of how I'm going to pay my tuition, what college is best for me. So really try and find those connections, because in the long run, they will help you through everything.
Thank you, Dayanari. Angel?
Mine's not going to be as inspiring as Dayanari's, but I feel like my final closing thoughts are just be unique, be yourself. There's always going to be someone out there that's like you. Never be afraid to show who you are, because at the end of the day, that's what matters to you, who you are and your identity.
Thank you, Angel. Now we're going to go to Angie.
I think for the students, it's okay to be on your own path if it's not popular, or if, like me, I know I got teased a lot. They're like, oh, because you're in honors, or you're doing this, or because you're studying or whatever. It's okay. It's okay to do that, because when you get older, you're going to be in a place where you're going to be able to help other people and be an example for another kid, just like you. I think keep fighting. Whatever your dream is, keep fighting. Whatever it is, if it's going to bring something positive or make you happy, just do it, because you're going to look back one day and be like, man, I wish I would have did it. Just do it. Never quit. I tell all my kids, I don't raise quitters. You never quit. I'd rather see you fail 20 times trying than never try at all. For the educators and people in administration, as a volunteer, I would say be open-minded on who not only you're hiring, but who you're bringing into the school, who you have representing you. It's to me personally, as a volunteer, I can say it gets so political so much, where I just want to see someone doing good. I just want to see a face that can say, you're going to be there for that kid. You're going to educate that kid in a way that you're going to open their eyes, and appreciate that. Just keep recruiting. If you're in a position to hire, don't hire because of the color of their skin, but hire because of the dynamic of their voice. You know what I mean? Because that will come. If they made it that far, it's going to come. And I think it's so inspiring when I do see the brown and the black administration and teachers, because they are some of the vocalist people in a group. It's pretty cool. So I would just say just keep fighting, no matter what position you are. Just keep fighting for it.
Thank you, Angie. Melissa.
Yeah, I'm thinking, gosh, everybody here has such wise words. I have to say today I was listening to a podcast about conscious discipline. And if you're not familiar with conscious discipline, I highly encourage everybody, especially our young teachers, to look into it. Dr. Becky Bailey is the founder of Conscious Discipline. Anyways, so I can't take credit for what I'm about to say, but the gentleman speaking today said to always remember to teach and lead from your heart instead of your mind, because your mind will try to take over what your heart is trying to do. And I was like, oh my gosh. And I wrote it down because I thought, oh, that's just perfect for this evening. And just as a teacher and as a leader of young children, that is just crucial. I just encourage us to continue to teach with our hearts in the world that we're living in. We're all doing the most crucial jobs that are out there. So I'm just thankful to be a part of this, and I can't wait to continue to share more about LEC with my coworkers and my schools. So thank you.
Thank you, Melissa. Brooke.
I'm a little the same way, thinking like I can't quite top all of this advice, but just from like our organization's perspective of like what I'm thinking about, what I've learned a lot throughout this last year in the Learning Club, and then my experience as a teacher, as well as just focusing on growth, not perfection. I think that that's really important in the world of education, and through that growth, it can come through a variety of different ways you go about it. But my biggest advice is to listen. Like, listen to your teachers, listen to your students, listen to the parents, the volunteers, listen to your administration. Even if you don't agree with them, listen to your school board, listen to your community, and finding ways of listening with the open ear without your own interpretation can really help you in that journey of growth. And so always remembering that you may not have delivered the best lesson, or you may not have had the best experience with a parent or an admin or something, but knowing that that's part of your growth journey, and that doesn't stop is something that I think all of us, no matter in whatever field, but especially in education, can benefit from.
Thank you, Brooke. Randy.
Yeah, thank you, Edgar, and ditto to what everyone has said. Congratulations to all of you, the work that you're doing. You're so vital and important to our community. And I sit here and I'm just so proud to be on this panel with all of you. And I've learned a lot. I told you I was taking notes because I'm going to take this back and process, what I've heard tonight. But yeah, I just want to say thank you to Edgar, to Latinx Collaborative. The work that you and your team do is so vital and important for our community as well. And as we continue to develop and grow your programming, you're impacting so many lives. So thank you for the work that you all continue to do. Again, congratulations to all of you on your awards. I do want to give a shout out to Kansas City, Kansas, representing tonight on the panel too. So KCK is huge, and just shout out to all of our students and families out there that are watching. We know this has been a year like no other, and that's an understatement. But I've been able to see firsthand how our students and families are going above and beyond through this pandemic to make sure that their kids are being educated, whether it's virtually, in person, whatever the case might be. For us, it's been virtually all year. But our students and their families, I'm just so honored that we can serve you, and I'm just so proud of the work that they're doing. So our educators, our staff, our teachers, same thing. You all are going above and beyond through this pandemic to educate our kids and to love on our kids. Like you were saying earlier, Edgar, they deserve all the love that they get. So I just wanted to give them a quick shout out. I think you all said it best, and I think it's believing in yourself too, right? And taking a chance and believing on yourself, and as an educator, knowing how important you are and the impact that you are having on every single student that is coming through your classroom, that is in your building. All it takes is one caring adult to change the life of a child. And when we think about how we can even touch on like trauma and social emotional, but all it takes is one caring adult make that impact on a child and change their trajectory and help them see what's within themselves too. So I applaud all of you for the work that you do, and I'm just so grateful to be here with you tonight. And thank you. I'm here to help however I can too. randy.lopez@kckps.org. Email me anytime. Like Edgar said, I'm accessible, probably to a fault. But I'm here to support any of y'all and anybody that's watching. Shout out to Delia. I saw her comment as well. But thank you all for tonight.
Thank you, Randy, for the kind words. And final word from our Educator of the Year, Yvonne.
Man, how do I follow all of that? Well, I'm a huge advocate for diversity, equity, inclusion, but also education. Advocate for education. Education has gotten folks out of bad situations, but also brought them into some great opportunities. So our young people, educate yourself. And whether it's the traditional way of going to college and getting your BA and your master's and hopefully your PhD, or finding a trade, just find something that ignites something in you and find your passion and find who you are. To our community, I want our young people to feel comfortable and confident and secure in who you are and where you come from, and unapologetically be yourself and face this crazy world that we're in with open eyes and an open heart. Be humble and be kind, and know that your community, we love you and we support you. I think at times like this, we just need to have each other's backs. And so thank you for letting me be a part of this. I am honored to be here with you guys and hear your words. And I have like this smile on my face that I can't get off, because hearing all of your words, it ignites me. Not only this morning, which was super emotional for me. I was sitting there crying like a baby. Very special moment this morning, I think, for all of us. But being here and seeing young people and seeing other people doing the same work and having the same passion as me, it's encouraging and it's inspiring, and I thank you.
Thank you, Yvonne. Those are incredibly powerful words to end on. So as we transition to the end of our conversation, first and foremost, to each and every one of you, congratulations. I'm so excited and thrilled that you're joining our 2020 class of Latinx Educators Award Winners. So I just can't wait to love you even more this year. So just FYI, that's coming your way. And to our community, thank you so much for your support. Continue to love on our educators, continue to show them that they're important to our students and to us as a community as well. And so with that, I hope everyone has an enjoyable evening. It's 2021, y'all. We got some work to do. So looking forward to getting each and every one of you in those spaces. So thank you all. Have an enjoyable evening.
Thank you,
Thank you, Edgar. Thank you.